Hi people of Instagram, hope you are all having a very nice day. We are, my name's Gavin Wade. I am artist curator here at Eastside Projects, and I'm here with Leah Clements, who is artist here at Eastside Projects for quite a while, for a month or so. So we are going to do a little walk around, and we call this from the artist's mouth, so we'll be trying to get it not only from my mouth, straight from Leah's mouth, and we will hear what's going on in this exhibition. So it is called the Siren of the Deep, and Leah's been working on this for over a year. I think that's quite an interesting concept at the moment, of how much time things take to make and produce. And it comes out of an invitation to our EOP members to propose amazing exhibitions that they want to make. And I'm happy to say that this is an amazing exhibition. And I feel like this is when things really work out, that we get brilliant artists able to use the space here at Eastside Projects. So we're gonna walk around and try and show you some bits of the show, but this exhibition is very much an experience, which I think you will only get a snippet of. The exhibition opens tomorrow and runs through till
31st of July.
31st of July. See, somebody knows. So you've got time to come and see. You can book in and come and experience it, and I hope that many of you can. So I guess we're going to start. I think we should start with that idea of the amount of time you've been working on this, and also that this is maybe the first full exhibition experience that you've made as a solo artist.
Yeah, definitely. So I have had one solo exhibition before, and I have done solo projects before where I've had the space for like an evening or something, like performance I did, was it last year? It was only last year at Somerset House Studios, Hyperbaric, things like that. But it's the first solo show I've done in like a gallery space. My first was in 2015 at Vitrine in London, in Bermondsey, and that was so it's a long Vitrine window space. And there's actually, I don't know, I think I find it reassuring in a way, although I could find it annoying, that there's definitely themes that I keep coming back to, because that was, I filled up the whole window with condensation, and then, but it would be there sometimes and not at others, which has a lot in common with this show. But to be able to have a whole room to myself for a length of time is just wonderful. And like you said, we started working on it over a year ago, and I think I was researching it before then even, so it's been in my head for a year, and it's something that can only exist once it's in the space. So I've only seen it in real life like a day ago.
Yeah.
But we've had everything together, like sounds and everything.
But how does that feel then? Because actually when you made the proposal, it was a very formed idea. Sometimes you have proposals and you read them and think, oh, that's sort of interesting, it might lead somewhere, but your proposal was quite complete. And it's not that it's the same as what you've made in the end, but it already felt, oh, we can feel what this will be like. So, and I sort of liked that point that you brought up, that in making the exhibition, you found out something else about yourself. I think that's what happens. The more exhibitions you make, you realise, oh, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly, because I think you can get annoyed with it and feel like, oh, I'm just repeating the same work, but it's actually incredibly different in its manifestation. I don't know, I quite like the feeling that, okay, I'm doing something that's authentic to me at least. I know that.
Yes.
I do keep coming back to these things. But what was the last thing you said before that? I was going to say something about that.
About the... I can't remember now. I don't know what I said. What we were talking about not the time, or the idea of the proposal being fully formed.
So because I wanted to make a work or something about the Siren of the Deep since I heard the term, which was when I made a film in 2019 London called On Edge, Living in an Age of Anxiety. So the film's called To Not Follow Under. And I interviewed 3 people. One was a sleep neurologist, another was a psychotherapist, and the other was a diver who works as a rescue diver. And she mentioned this idea of the siren of the deep in diving. She said that like there's a lot of deaths in diving when people go. A lot of divers say it was the siren calling, and just not wanting to come back up. And a lot of divers have had that experience of just wanting to stay on the bottom of the ocean and not go back up. And often that's why you need a buddy in diving, so you can like pull each other back up if one of you gets too taken away. And it's like, I need to.
Can you say, or do you know why you found that so compelling as an idea?
I think like there's something to do with an idea of transcendence and just like utter beauty and awe and bliss within that. And I think I've always been interested in states or moments that feel kind of special, but also this crossing over to the other side, this kind of like in-betweenness. And so in this work I think there's 2 divers in it. There's also 3 astronauts, 1 cosmonaut, some people who are on drugs at the time of the interview, and there's somebody who has a euphoric religious experience. So, but then often these people talk about coming back and not wanting to come back, and coming back to the kind of stark normality and boringness of being back on Earth, literally from coming out of space and being back on Earth, or the sea even, or in a more like psychological or spiritual way.
Which sounds like a very difficult thing to make happen. Within the work.
Yeah.
And at the moment we're in this room and we've got the sound turned down, and there we go. And we've got changes happening that you can see, but the sound isn't there yet, so you still can't fully. I think until I heard the sound at full volume, I didn't know if it would be enough to deal with that such a big lots of big ideas in a way. But I think that you've really done it with the sound and the lighting and the surprises of things that happen. So
it's just really this idea. So like the sculptures, so you can kind of see that one while it's on. It's just a glass of water on some bathroom tiles, and that will turn off in a moment. So it just kind of slowly shuts down after this instance of kind of all coming on together. And then the one in the other corner is also just a glass of water on some mirror tiles. So there's these kind of like innate objects that are very everyday and nothing very particular about them, but then you get like a bit of daylight coming through the window that like goes through some water, and it's just this absolutely beautiful thing.
So is that something? Was that a later impulse to add these elements that show the everydayness, the kind of prosaic?
I think that glass came first. That was one of the first bits. Yeah, I really like that glass. I think it's just the IKEA one.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I think it was just sun through my window, but I also it's hard to remember what came first, because I think we spoke initially before lockdown, as lockdown was just happening. So I guess I'd written it before lockdown happened, the first one. But then I was going for a lot of walks around Deptford and New Cross, where I live, and there's like Deptford Creek, which is kind of a canal, and it has some kind of industrial bridges and stuff over the top, and I just noticed the reflection, the ripples on the underside of those, which is like incredibly beautiful, and you could just stare at it all day when it's cloudy. It looks like, I don't know, it's just an industrial rusting.
Yeah, it's just dead. Dead water.
Yeah.
Can you see the rippling in the? So you've been able to recreate a bit of that sense, and it's quite delicate at the moment because there's only a very soft line, and when the big light comes on, you've synchronised that exactly with. So we'll turn the sound up in a minute. You'll hear the voices, and there's a kind of narrative drive that leads to the moment where the light happens as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then this kind of sculpture in the middle is probably a fair bit less everyday, although it's not totally abstract. But it's a pool that has this kind of fabric draped over it that's, I don't know, I guess I hope it has some element of like classic drapery, oil painting / marble sculpture, but it also speaks to this kind of like a kind of abandoned medical experiment aesthetic.
I think it's got that vibe as well.
Yeah,
which makes it feel like there's an element of ritual about it, or an element of like a release or a sacrifice, or something else can happen in the water, or a baptism or something.
Yeah, or like a pool bath. Or, yeah, I guess it does kind of speak to transcendent experiences, potentially. It's also just like such a basic element, water, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like common but also fundamental.
Yeah, it's funny if you just make a bath in your house, so suddenly having water, that amount of water, changes everything about the room and the space, and you can immerse yourself in it. It's so basic, isn't it? Or in a garden, if you suddenly put some water in a garden.
Yeah.
But that makes sense. Well, should we have a look at the text then? What's going on with the actual narrative? And
it will turn off for a minute.
well, then you can read a bit of the other text. So should we turn the sound up?
Yeah.
Say when a person doesn't sleep, then they can. What is there?
Come down after they come up. So I'll just read this, which is kind of a poem that I wrote as part of the press release. The absolute, wait. Open your eyes and not move. Open your eyes and close them again. Do not want to move. Open your eyes and want to move, but can't. Shouldn't have come back. Fall on your knees, fall on your knees, fall on your knees, and hear the angel voices. Yeah.
So when did that appear? When did
Not
you
that long
realise?
ago, a couple of weeks ago, but that, I don't know if you remember me speaking to you about this before. Maybe it came up in the studio visit, or it might have just been another conversation, but that last bit, fall on your knees and hear the angel voices, is from I don't know whether it's technically a hymn, but it's a like Christian song that's performed in chorus, and it's, what's it called? I think it's called Oh Holy Night, but not to be confused with Holy Night, which is a more famous one. But it's this absolutely beautiful arrangement of voices, and the best one is the King's Choir performance on YouTube.
Okay. Check it out.
Yeah.
So were you looking at that when you were trying to work out how to produce the Siren song?
Yeah, so I was looking at a few things. So there was like that, which has just got this extreme euphoria involved, but it also has this kind of like weird. The lyrics are strange, like fall on your
On
knees.
se sent aspiré par le fond et on a besoin de rien faire.
It's kind of sinister, potentially. So I was curious about that as well, that sinister edge to that kind of euphoria.
Yeah.
But I was looking at a few different tracks, and like one of them. So I don't think I know anyone else who likes Witch House, but I really like Witch House, and there's a famous in that genre track by Salem called King Knight. And I'm sure they've sampled that, and I can't find any reference to it anywhere. Like, they don't list it, it's not on who sampled who, but I'm pretty sure that even the name is a reference to that. But it is this like really euphoric, because I was also looking into like dance music euphoria that would be paired with, you know, like traditionally, meaning like 80s, 90s, would be with drugs that are also focused on euphoria and calm down. Yeah.
I keep hearing. I'm hearing your voice now. I want to turn it up.
Yeah. Turn it up and have a little pause.
Je me laisse happer par la profondeur et je glisse tout doucement vers le fond. Je laisse l'eau m'écraser. J'accepte cette pression et je me laisse faire.
So all of that background sound is your voice.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't made
Je lâche complètement prise et je me relaisse. Et là, la pression écrase et c'est pas du tout désagréable.
And yeah, by like walking and layering and adding effects, then I can kind of make a chorus from my own voice, which sort of forms what I think of as like a siren-y sound. That you get these moments of resonance that drop really low. And later on it's kind of like in different octaves and harmonised. Also with a whirly tube, which is
Nесколько раз я терял память.
A whirly tube.
Yeah. It's like a corrugated plastic tube that you pull out and you swing it round and it moves air through it. It's kind of an odd, ethereal, weird sounding howl.
Did you come across any other ways of actually creating that siren sound? Anyone else? Methods or attempts?
Немножечко придел на ту сторону.
I wasn't, I guess there are like typical things that characterise what we think of as siren which are in this, that are also in other things like, I don't know, like this Mortal Coil version of Song to the Siren, for example. But I wasn't directly taking it from there, which was just yeah, I don't know. I did try a few other things. One of them, just by coincidence, was using glasses, you know, like where you play glasses around the room, and then I kind of harmonised that, but then it didn't quite work, and then I was kind of glad, but also like found it really funny that her room in the other room has done the same thing. So it's like definitely a zeitgeisty thing going on there.
Yeah. So in the other room in Harron Morrison's show, we've got red wine made through a glass the harmonics of red wine in wine glasses. It's really weird how exhibitions link up like that. I mean, actually, there is still a lot of links with Harron's show, with the idea of the canal,
Yes.
the narrow boat, and a journey, and the slowness, and a different sort of place and time, and past and future. There was very interesting crossovers, which is a coincidence because the exhibitions weren't originally intended to go together, but it's a very happy link between things. Yeah. How do you feel about that? Has making the sound and the light already triggered happened yet. So that's
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, I can confess. I think I'm always going to keep returning to the same basic themes. Like to not follow under is about not, like trying to not follow somebody else under, and this one is about wanting to go under and stay under yourself. Kind of reaching a bit of a...
Yeah, so we're hoping you're picking up on the intensity of the room now.
Это очень интересные краски. И какая внезапность, такой круг, такой, так сказать, как в туннеле.
So do you imagine that there's, as someone who's experiencing this, did you imagine that the person might feel like there's someone else there for them? Is that something that occurred to you? That when you're saying about needing somebody else to pull you up or pull you out, like a buddy, or is that something that you hope people can experience from it? There's quite a positive sense that there's... No, that's my optimism coming through, sorry.
No, these people are bitter that they've had to come back. They didn't want to come back. Whether they pulled themselves back because they knew they had to, or they were pulled back. They don't want to be back. And they, even though they know it's dangerous to go back, they'd rather be wherever else they go. Yeah.
So for the person who's almost pulled them back, they have to just live with the fact that it's not well received, even though they might still feel like it was worth doing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the person who's been brought back may never forgive them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like there's very powerful emotions going on
Yeah,
within.
definitely.
Yeah, and a sense of
I feel great. Wow.
how you exist as an individual, like what you are. Because in some way, that idea of never.
It's so I just felt that times 1,000.
Yeah, there's a kind of like desire at transcendence from individualness or separation or personification into like a dissolved whatever it is, like this other state, which isn't that. And like, I think something I do very often in my work is kind of try and bring voices together. Sorry. That have been individualized. Usually it's in a medical context, so hyper-individualized through like, this is your problem, you can deal with it on your own, sort of thing, and trying to re-collectivize those voices. More directly in the past, that's been medical. But here, it's not that exactly, but it is people who, I just kind of bringing them all together, these people that seem to have had a very similar experience, but are sort of left on their own afterwards, and trying to piece it all a bit back together. Like a lot of them talk about other people not understanding, like you could never know, unless you've done it, been there or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then the kind of the medication element of it is very important. It's not like at the front of what's happening here, but still.
Yeah, well, this Paul thing is kind of a reference to the Russian voice that keeps coming back, who was a cosmonaut that never flew, and he was given experimental drugs by the Soviet space program for like testing out space travel stuff. And they would like kind of drop him into this thing that looked, it wasn't actually a pool, but it looked sort of like a pool, but sort of like a bed. And I was just like, that is such a weird, strange thing that's very familiar and very not familiar at the same time. So this central sculpture is almost like a reference to that. But he never wanted to come back, like he says in this. Every time they brought me back, every time I was conscious again, I thought they've brought you back to your physicality, back to the torment. So and he kept going back and wanting to do more experiments.
However, he never actually went out.
No.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other people who were having the same experiments, he said that their lives just fell apart afterwards. But I think that's really common for astronauts and cosmonauts who do go to space as well. That you, like I read, I was going to say Buzz Aldrin's. I read Buzz Aldrin's autobiography, and I think it's called Back to Earth. And he was in a psychiatric hospital about a year after he got back.
Wow.
And yeah, life is just, how can you compare?
Yeah, very
like
difficult.
what does your future look like when you've reached a certain pinnacle, or you've seen a certain, I don't know, and your whole idea of the world has changed.
I think it's really interesting for that to be shared, because you just imagine the millions of children who dreamed of becoming an astronaut and aspired to it and trained and, I don't know, studied hard and hoped that they were right to get through those programs without maybe knowing what the actual stresses on your body and your mind are in those situations.
Definitely, but I think it's also like he was extremely privileged and like primed to be somebody in that position. But he also did work really hard, and his whole life was about working towards reaching this goal.
Yeah.
And what happens when you reach it?
Yeah. Wow. Okay, I think that's a good note to end on. And to fully understand the answer to that question, you have to come and experience Leah's exhibition. And I hope that you can do so. It's open Wednesday to Saturday, 12 to 5 until the 31st of July. And we have Harron Morrison's exhibition, Experiments with Everyday Objects, in our other gallery space. So thank you very much, Leah. I think that's given us even more insight into the work. It's really brilliant. And we look forward to sharing it with you all from tomorrow. Okay, thanks very much. Bye.